Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, All Things Middle-earth here with a Commander deep dive on the Commander Legolas. If you want to see more Commander deep dives like this one on other Commanders, either good or evil, let me know in the comments below which Commanders you'd be interested in learning more about, and I'd love to do some research and hopefully provide some good information so you know how to better utilize your Commanders in the Lord of the Rings, The Rise to War. So, first things first, we're going to get started looking at his stats. I actually started working on this video and was starting to really get into the analytical side of how the battle system works. So I actually made a separate video going through the battle details to kind of see how that breaks down. So if this is really interesting to you, all this the statistical information like that, I'll link the video. I think it's going to come out possibly the day after this one comes out, but assuming this video has been out for any time at all, I'll have that linked. So if you are interested, check the description or the card in the top right, and I'll have that linked here. But some of this stuff can go a lot deeper, but we're just going to look at sort of a base level of how Legolas works and how I think he's best used, especially if you get him in the early game. You know, how can you start using him right away to be the most efficient? So first thing we're going to look at here is how you recruit Legolas. Obviously, you go to the tavern and the recruit commander, and then we're going to the second tier, the second circle right here, and Legolas is right up here. He requires these Malorn leaves to recruit. I was lucky enough to pull a full invite for him through one of the Malum chests, so I unlocked him pretty early. It was actually, I think this was my first, one of my first chests of playing the game, so it was very, very exciting. Legolas is one of my favorite characters, so I was very happy. But if you don't have that luck, which I apologize, you're going to have to get the Malorn leaves, which don't seem too bad. It seems like they're available in a few different places in addition to the Malum chests. So you got to get those to recruit him. So that's how you get him going. Otherwise, this will be maybe good information to deciding which commanders to go towards recruiting next. So that's how you get Legolas. And the first thing I'm going to look at is his warrior ability. These unlock at level 20, and basically this just gives your commander a few different abilities or traits that are going to play into how they battle these things. Like plus 25 might for Legolas is going to raise his might here once he gets to this point, which is then going to increase your army's damage and all that kind of stuff there. You also get plus 2 skill points, so we just get an extra 2 skill points to use once you reach that point. And then Legolas's physical damage goes up by 10%. So a solid ability, and that unlocks at 20, I do believe. So, you know, as soon as you, they definitely take a jump up at that level when they unlock that ability. And you can see that for any characters, they have that there. So if I go to my Ori, for example, he does not have his unlocked. But Merry and Pippin at 24 do, and they all do different things. So level 20 is definitely a good threshold to go for to kind of unlock some more potential for your character. Next thing I want to look at is the skills for Legolas. So we're going to go over here to allocate points. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the first 2 tiers of skills. I don't have the Respect 5 unlocked. I will go over them, but in terms of how I'm allocating them, I can't go into these. So if you do have Legolas at Respect 5 or higher and feel like these are going to be better skills, definitely go for that. But we're going off of what I have, which I think will be closer to what most people have, unless you have been going a little bit crazy with the Malum chest, which, hey, mad respect. I want to do that very bad. So firstly, we're going to start up here with Greenleaf. Greenleaf is a 2-round cooldown ability. So if you look through the battle report, you'll see this come up every couple of rounds, and it attacks the enemy with the lowest defense, and it deals 64% physical damage. Again, as you upgrade that, it's going to do more, and then once you max it out, the target who you're attacking, their next attack will be dealing 50% less damage. So that is Greenleaf. Attached to Greenleaf, you have Attack Vitals, which again is just a 1-round cooldown attack that you'll see come through more often than Greenleaf, for an example. This attacks 1 enemy target, and it deals 28.5 physical damage, and then there's a 50% chance for this to deal an extra 28.5 physical damage. So if you're looking at the battle report, it'll say Legolas used Attack Vitals and dealt this much damage, and it'll actually give the value for what that damage is for who he's attacking. And then there's a chance that it'll say basically the same thing right after that. I'll say, and Legolas dealt this much damage again because this 50% was activating. If you don't hit that, then you won't deal that extra damage. So that is Attack Vitals. Next, we have Mirkwood Ambush. Again, another skill that has a 2-round cooldown, and this is against 1 enemy target, and you deal 50% physical damage or poison damage once. So I don't know if it's just a coin flip 50-50, but it looks like it is just either one, you deal 50% physical damage or poison damage once, and obviously that's going to increase as you upgrade that as well. And then now we're going to move down here to Gray Elf. Gray Elf is for all allies. This is something that would activate at the beginning of the battle and then have a chance of being used every time one of your allies are going to take damage. So it says all allies have a 2% chance of avoiding damage. Pretty slim to start out with, but I did hit it in my one test battle one time. So you can upgrade that a little bit more and make that a little bit more viable. But every single time that any of your allies would take damage, they have this % chance, whatever you have it as, of just completely avoiding all of that damage, which can be very, very crucial, especially early on. If you hit that and just keep your numbers high, you might be doing a lot more damage and taking out the enemy. So that's how that works, and there is a max level effect of an extra 15 speed. Next, we have shield training, and this is very similar. Shield training and Deadeye both just do battle long statistical changes to the troop type here, which is ranged troops. So the ranged troops here receive less damage, and here they do more damage. So those things are going to activate before the battle starts, and those just go on the whole time. There's no chance of those not happening. They just do more damage like that. And then the last one we're going to take a lot of time on is Elven Prince. Elven Prince normal attacks have a 50% chance of dealing an additional 40% physical damage. So if you're looking at the battle report, it'll say Legolas attacks, and if it doesn't say like Legolas uses attack vitals or Mirkwood damage, if it just says Legolas attacks, very plain, that's just his normal attack. And every time that happens, it will have a 50% chance of dealing additional 40% additional physical damage. So it'll say Legolas attacks, then it'll say Legolas used Elven Prince, and then it'll say Elven Prince did or did not affect whoever you're attacking. So you have that chance to deal some extra damage right there every time you do your normal attack. And then we have Heartseeker, which is a one round cooldown. Against enemy target with the lowest HP, deal 35.7 physical damage one time. And then down here we have Dual Blows, which has a chance of happening quite a lot. As I was going through it, just kept popping up. But this commander has a 10% chance to attack twice each round. So every single round that comes up, like in my mock battle I did to practice some of this stuff, it went 7 rounds. So every single round it said Legolas used Dual Blows, and he did or did not attack twice each round with that ability. So those are the 3 main ones I've attacked, and I'll really quickly go over these. So here we have Dwarf Friend, which is round 5 onwards. So if you have units surviving after round 5 and go to round 6, then allied melee units are going to do plus 4% damage. And it has a max level effect. That damage bonus takes effect in round 4. So instead of being round 4, instead of being round 5, it changes it to round 4. And then here we have Friendly Relations, where elves and dwarves receive 2% less damage. That would be one that would just start at the beginning of the battle before anything's happened. You would just have that bonus. And then Protect Elves. Dwarf units with the highest defense protect all elven units, and they have defense plus 4.2%. So he's got some synergy with elves, with ranged units, and a little bit with dwarves. If you have dwarves with him, they would then protect the elven units and take the damage for them, and they have a little bit extra defense in doing that. So that is a quick overview of Legolas's skills. If I was I do have Legolas, so what I do with Legolas is I like to go all the way into Gray Elf, and then all the way into Shield Training and Deadeye first, because these things don't have a chance of not happening. They happen every single time your ranged units just get this much damage, and I try and pretty much exclusively use ranged units with Legolas. Obviously, if a situation is where, if I'm in a battle where the enemy is really efficient against ranged units, like for the good guys, I know I could come across this situation possibly. But if I go to the good guys and go to the barracks, a troop like the Ranger, which is right here, they do extra damage to ranged targets. So I don't know if this is the only unit with the bullseye ability. Actually, I know it's not. But if I was fighting something like this, I probably wouldn't go in with ranged units since they're going to be doing extra damage. But there are situations where you would be at an advantage to use ranged troops. So I try and use ranged troops with Legolas. I go into both of these, and then from there, I would probably go into Elven Prince next, because every round Legolas is going to attack, and as you go into that, the 50% chance stays the same, but the physical damage just starts upping. So every round he might be able to attack twice, and that second time he'd be hitting pretty hard there. And then probably the last most important one as you're starting out would be going into Dual Blows. Again, it won't take much to get this thing up. So right now I'm at 30%, the next one's 40, would need to go into Elven Prince a little bit more here to get that up. But again, just getting multiple attacks every round is going to give you an advantage. It's like bringing in 2 commanders and both of them getting to do their attacks there. So those would be the ones that I would probably prioritize first. Obviously, if you get past that point and you have more points, then you can just start going into everything. I mean, none of these are bad skills, but I think, you know, I would prioritize Grey Elf and its 2 skills. Then I would go into Elven Prince and probably do both of these skills since I've already gone into Elven Prince. And then lastly, go into Greenleaf there. Again, if you do have Respect 5, these are pretty good depending on what you're using. Although this does allied melee units, and we're kind of focusing on ranged. So these may not be best used together, but if you have him up to level, whatever the max level is, and you can get all of them, obviously you could bring some melee and ranged with him and use some dwarves and some elves and kind of get like all the synergies going. But I would focus on Grey Elf and those 2 abilities for his skills. So after looking at skills, we're going to look at his items before we wrap up here. And again, these things I think can have a pretty good effect as well. So I have put all items on Legolas that are going to boost the type of troops that I want to have with him. In this example, we have the Spear of the Rangers, which has the affects the commander stats. So you see here, might, focus, and speed. And then it does elves, allied units deal more damage. They deal an extra 1.5% damage. And I can actually strengthen this and get some of these values up as well. Next, we have the Hunter Skin, which is for cavalry archers specifically, which is the elven mounted archery unit. Really quick side note here on items. They can all have different types of abilities. So Thrill of the Hunt is not exclusive to Hunter Skin. The items usually show themselves once you obtain them. So you could have anything that gives the Thrill of the Hunt to Legolas in this example and use that. And they could have different things instead of the army defense. For ranged units, it could be something else with that with Thrill of the Hunt. So these items are not exclusively the ones that have those perks, but this is just what I had. So you can get Thrill of the Hunt on other items. And so I do happen to have those and use them with Legolas for things like trolls a lot. And this specifically has them do extra damage. So again, if I keep strengthening this and even refining it, all these values are going to continue to go up. We have defense for ranged troops there. Then we have the Haradrim Scarf, which just does allied ranged units. They receive less damage. And then the Harp of Lothlorien, which has more bonuses for elves. And then every 2 rounds, all allies recover 6.3% HP. And as far as I understand the different abilities, the sustain, elven strength, these things go up whenever you do the gold star, whenever you refine with the same item. So I don't believe the blue ones can go up since you can't refine them. But the purple ones can be refined. So if I had another Harp of Lothlorien, for example, or the Hunter Skin, I could refine and this percentage would go up. So I would suggest, depending on how you have him, how you're using his skills, if you are using the range type of unit, then I would suggest trying to put things on that are going to just bolster those. There's no point in having things that go all towards men or melee types or whatever if you don't have those. So again, it's not going to probably be game breaking, but all these little 1, 2, whatever percentages are really going to add up, and that could be the difference between you winning and losing a battle, or it's just going to help you lose less units, so you're not going through your resources as quickly. And before we wrap up the video, I want to interject one more important point. I'm actually putting this in during editing. I've already filmed and I'm going back because I think this is super important. I want to give you guys one specific example of how I feel like Legolas is best used. So if you're like me, as soon as you hit the point where you're wanting to start taking 200 power tiles, you really started struggling with that because of the different difficult types of units that you're going to come across. One specifically being the trolls. So if I go here, this is 200 land. I sent Ori in to scout it out, and they had all trolls here. And so really struggle with those types of units. So using a character like Legolas, who has all of his abilities that we talked about just moments ago, we can go into our army and go to Legolas, and I can give him the cavalry archers. If you remember looking at the items, I had a specific item, that Thrill of the Hunt, that increased the attack for them, and they also have the ability that has them do extra damage against trolls. So with all of the stuff we talked about and the skills, the items, and then giving these units to Legolas, he is going to be my best option for taking out things like trolls. Obviously, he's not my highest level, so it may or may not apply to you, but for where I'm at, being at level 30 and having this much, he's going to do the best job with these type of units, and he's going to really help me be able to take out more of these trolls to, you know, if I'm bringing a second army in, allow them to come up and clean it up a lot easier. So that's a specific example of how I would use Legolas and what troops I would use with him to take out trolls in the 200 plus power an hour lands. That's a pretty quick overview of the Commander Legolas, how I have his skill points put out right now. Again, mostly looking at the range stuff, and then the different the equipment that I use on him, which again, there's a lot of different kinds that could probably do similar things and be beneficial to elves or ranged units, but these are what I'm using for him right now. So if you found this video interesting, make sure you comment down below and let me know what kind of commanders you would like to see me talk about next, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to join our fellowship here on YouTube. I also stream over on Twitch, and that'll be linked down below if you want to come hang out with us and let us know how you are enjoying the Rise to War. But that's going to do it for me today, and I'll see you all in the next video.